Go ahead, say it now.
You in the grill pit, bitch.
One time, like this. For those who hop and make your one nigga straight loony after taking
who was accepted as a god in Europe long before the birth of Christ, accepted quite a few Africans as deities. Imhotep, this great African who was the world's first multi-genius.
This is SAF Moya, prison lawyer. I want to welcome you to the Grill Pit. Thank you, doctor, for that introduction. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I want to get into this. What's up? This is SAF Moya, prison lawyer, and you're on the Grill Pit, bringing you an update to Angela Jackson's situation. And I know it's been update after update after update, but I guess this is a real-time understanding of how the DOC operates and how long it takes for you to get a sexual assault, sexual abuse, prison violence, allegations resolved in this draconian environment. I think right now is a perfect opportunity for us to understand what PREA is and understand why so many people are having a problem with what's going on. And when I say so many people are having a problem with it, I'm not talking about the DOC. Of course, they're not having a problem with it. It's individuals like myself who've been through PREA and understand the safeguard that it was supposed to be, or we've been introduced to all this time. Every place you go to, when I was in prison, I went through PREA. Every joint I went to, every time I was transferred, I had to go through PREA. When I went to the halfway house, they went over PREA with me. Make sure I had to go to PREA. I had to make sure I signed off on the video. Make sure I had to sign on all those things. And in your mind, you're feeling like most people felt like this is a safeguard because they had certain different things you could not do with PREA. Like you could, in certain situations, they had to provide curtains when you showered. In certain situations, the COs had to announce themselves. Female COs had to announce themselves when they came in. But COs in general had to announce themselves when they came into areas, shower areas, bathroom areas. It limited their access to those areas as they walked through those areas. So in your mind, back in your mind, you're thinking like, oh, this is working. This is definitely working. And I never filed a PREA claim, so you could only. Like somebody told me one time before, you only know if you have good insurance when you try it, right? You can talk about how great it is, but when you actually try to utilize it, that's when you find out if your insurance is bad or good. But so we're gonna have an update from Angela Jackson on her situation dealing with the DOC. Before we get into the update, I'd like to walk you through the actual video, the PREA video, so you can see. It's 15 minutes, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but just to get a general understanding of why this situation upsets me so much. Because once you watch the video, and then we go over what's going on in the DOC, and we go over some facts based on that, then you'll understand the indignation I have and the lies and really what's truly going on. Is it just specifically about money, getting federal money? Is it specifically about presenting yourself as though you have this safeguard that's protecting individuals? Is it truly about the fact that, because we're going to discuss this, is it truly about not wanting to discuss the abolition of female prisons because they're not necessary is that conversation, because you want to put in a safeguard and say, hey, well, hey, you guys are running, you guys are moving too fast. You know, we got something that's going to solve all our problems, PREA. And understand the thing about PREA is PREA's Elimination Act. Cut that out or whatever. Prison rape. The reason what I'm getting at is PREA's Prison Rape Elimination Act. But prior to them calling that, they changed the name. At least one time, it was called the Prison Rape Reduction Act, and that wording is specific. It's very important because that was initial, and you can understand that it's still it's not even a reduction, but that was a better understanding of it, because then they tried to put in elements of elimination, and we know that doesn't exist. And even a reduction is not even what it does. A reduction is not even what it does. It's if it does anything that they want to take credit for, is if it does anything, it provides money, it provides more offices for individuals in the criminal justice system, and it provides some form of acknowledging that rape exists. But besides that, I mean, other than acknowledging that all these people who've made these allegations, you know, that it exists and it's going on, and it's more so officer staff rape than it's individual being raped. Because individuals who've been in prison know why, because I'm not going to get into that conversation. But so we know it's more officers doing the rapes, not officers, but staff are doing the rapes. And the conversation it's more about reduction than elimination. It's not even about abduction as much as it's just acknowledging the fact that there is some sort of procedure that exists that at the end of the day, you feel more victimized than you did before the victimization. So let's get into this video real quick, and then I'll come right back, go into her, Angela's conversation, then come back and try to break down her conversation.
I was wrong. I never expected to be raped. No one does. The rapes were completely destroying, emotionally, physically, in every way. I did report it. I know that not everyone feels safe enough to report it. But after multiple cries for help, I was finally given the help that I needed. I was one of the lucky ones. I'm here to tell you that sexual abuse can happen to anyone, but it doesn't have to. This video will go over information that can and will help you stay safe, and how to get the help if you really need it. I know this is a difficult and awkward thing to talk about, but what you're about to hear is important information about your rights, so please pay very close attention.
Hello, I'm Captain John Johnson with the Miami-Dade County Corrections and Rehabilitation Department, and I'm pleased to be part of this project by the PREA Resource Center.
And I'm Bo Smith, a staff member at Just Detention International and a former inmate and PREA peer educator. In this video, Captain Johnson and I are going to talk about your safety and your right to be free from sexual abuse. This is the law, and it's common sense too. Sexual abuse is illegal anywhere, and it applies to incarcerated people as well. The Prison Rape Elimination Act of 2003, or PREA, called for national standards to prevent, detect, and respond to sexual abuse in confinement. The final PREA national standards, which were released in 2012, apply to confinement settings, including the one you're in right now.
Shortly, we're going to talk more about PREA, but first, let me talk about 3 key points that will come up a lot during this video. First, your facility has zero tolerance for any sexual abuse or harassment. That's inmate against inmate or staff against inmate. This means that no sexual abuse or harassment is tolerated, ever. Second, anyone who is sexually abused has the right to report it privately and safely, and this facility offers many ways to make a report. Third, if you are abused, you can get assistance from the facility's medical and mental health staff. You can also get assistance from trained rape crisis counselors who work in the community at no cost to you. This care is available whether or not you file a report. Also, in this video, we're going to use the term inmate to refer to anyone in confinement, including detainees and residents.
Let's talk some more about zero tolerance. What does it mean? Zero tolerance means that even one incident of sexual abuse is too many. Under PREA, every facility is required to have a written policy that clearly states that it does not tolerate sexual abuse and sexual harassment. And that means abuse by inmates as well as by staff, as we.
So now you understand sort of why Angela Jackson's conversation is important, because right now they're saying it's zero tolerance, that even one conversation, or even just the victimization of individuals due to words, calling them certain names, is not acceptable. It's abuse, right? So this is what they're saying. This is what you hear. This is what you walk through. So I just wanted to stop to explain to you, this is what they're telling you. All right.
We've already discussed. We'll talk about definitions some more later on in the video. But zero tolerance is about more than just a written policy. It's about building a culture where sexual abuse and sexual harassment are simply not permitted. It means that inmates and staff understand what sexual abuse and harassment are and how to detect it. It means that inmates and staff are able to report safely, that perpetrators are held accountable, and that leadership takes every single case of sexual abuse and sexual harassment seriously. Bottom line, sexual abuse and sexual harassment are not tolerated at this facility. No matter what you may have done, sexual abuse and sexual harassment are not part of the penalty.
The PREA standards require all facilities to have policies and practices in place to keep inmates safe, and to make it possible for them to get help if they've been sexually abused or harassed. Facilities must make housing decisions to keep inmates safe. If you are sexually abused, you can get free medical treatment and counseling. And remember, the standards cover inmate against inmates and staff against inmate sexual abuse.
So far, we've been using a lot of terms and phrases like sexual abuse, sexual harassment, sexual staff misconduct, but what's it all mean? And how's it different? So here to help me is Matthew, a former inmate and PREA peer educator. Sexual harassment is repeated and unwanted sexual advances, requests for sexual favors. It can be comments, gestures, or actions, degrading or disrespectful remarks about someone's body parts or their sizes, and obscene languages or gestures.
If another inmate constantly makes comments about how your body's appearance is when you're undressing or taking a shower, that can be considered as sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment also includes insults or negative comments about someone's sexual orientation or their gender identity.
Okay. So back to the conversation we were having prior. They're talking about definitions, and let's just go a little bit further.
If a staff member calls a transgender woman a he/she, or makes rude or sexual comments about someone that's gay or someone whom they think is gay, that would definitely be considered sexual harassment.
Now let's move on to sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is any sexual activity that is not wanted or agreed to. Inmates can never agree to sexual activity with staff. Sexual abuse involves penetration of one person by another without consent. This includes penetration of any of your body parts by someone else's body parts or objects. But that's not all. Sexual abuse involves intentional touching, either directly or through clothing, of your private parts, but this excludes contact that's incidental during a physical altercation. Abusers can be inmates, staff, volunteers, or contractors.
So now, in Angela Jackson case, she claimed that a male guard touched her inappropriately. She also claims, her allegations is that the officer that was with that officer pulled the panic button, hit a panic button to alert staff that something inappropriate was being done. So this is all can be proven true or false. So let's play a little bit more of this on these definitions so we understand what's going on and why individuals who've been incarcerated are upset, because these are from the abuse to violence to all these definitions they've been explained to us, and we have to know and understand them, because you want to be able to articulate what's going on with you. Based on Angela Jackson case, none of it really means anything, but we'll get further into that, right? As we talk about solutions to the problem and how to correct what's going on, and why PREA never was intended to work, right? I told you that it was initially called reduction, not elimination. It was never for the reduction. It was simply to facilitate some form of making these allegations visible. So let's go with this.
If your cellmate touches you while you're sleeping, or if you're heavily sedated by any sort of medication, that would definitely be sexual abuse.
Abusers may trick, coerce, or pressure someone by threats of violence or other harm.
When a new inmate arrives at a facility, they don't usually have money for commissary, or their money hasn't followed them from a previous institution. So another inmate will offer to provide them with commissary or even tobacco as a favor. But then later on down the road, they'll demand payback, and knowing that you cannot pay with money, they'll demand sexual favors instead.
In addition, the law states that inmates cannot, under any circumstances, consent to any sexual activity with a staff member. So anytime that a staff member and an inmate engage in sexual activity, it is considered sexual abuse. It is illegal, even if an inmate thinks that it's in a romantic relationship.
During a pat search, if an officer presses his or her body up against you, or...
This is SF Mo, your prison lawyer. This is SF Mo, your prison lawyer. And we just got through checking out that little PREA video. And that video is a video they show throughout the institutions. Prior to that, it was the candy bar video, where they had the little candy bar on your bed, and someone comes in and says, who left the candy bar there? And that's that deal. But this is, they upgraded it, made it a little bit better, HD'd it or whatever the fuck. But what I like to do now is play Angela Jackson's audio telephone call she made. She called in and she spoke with me. She's currently incarcerated in Shakopee prison, a prison in Minnesota, that she's been fighting a PREA case with the DOC. And what I want you to pay close attention is how differ her experience with informing staff about her sexual abuse case is being taken. For all the things that they've said and all these safeguards they said they put in place with PREA, you can see that nothing's changed. And then you ask yourself the question, why then place PREA? Why then spend all this money on PREA? The answer is that they have no intentions of ever getting rid of prisons. So they're always going to come up with some administrative BS that's not going to do anything but cause more harm than provide solutions or resolutions to problems. But let's check this out. I thought it was Dano, but maybe it's Danielle.
Danielle.
Yeah, I reached out to Danielle and I sent across my information to her, just let her know that, hey, you know what, I've talked to Angela. She said it's cool, whatever. So I sent her my link and everything like that. And then she hit me back, but then she asked me, was I a friend? I was like, yeah, I'm a friend. And then I was like, just talk to Angela. She'll tell you who I am, because we're trying to get together and maybe, do an update, whatever. Everybody get together because I want to stay in the loop. And she never got back to me. So I was thinking like maybe instead of you just sending me their information, maybe like this telephone call with Anna, maybe we need to all be on the telephone call so I don't lose that valuable time when I talk to them.
Right. Well, I could give you an update if you want an update on everything. She had went up to Whiter to my reservation to take care of some other personal business she had going on up there, and so she's like hard to get a hold of. And then sometimes she don't have her computer. Like I could go a couple of days with her not responding to my email.
Okay. Yeah. I just know that I've talked to you a lot. And I haven't been in a loop when individuals spoken to you, so I understand them wondering who the hell I am. And what's my exposure to you. And I understand nobody wants to do any harm, right? They want to make sure the right people are being the ones that, actually have the information. So all I was trying to do at this particular moment is maybe, set up a time that we can all sort of get on a telephone and, even if I have to come and have them come to the studio, it doesn't matter. It could be audio, it could be video, whatever we prefer, but just could get a date and a time before you actually go to whatever hearing you're supposed to have, and maybe just let.
Yeah, the hearing is a HRO hearing right now.
What's that the acronym for? What's that acronym for? The HRO.
Harassment order.
Okay, because
harassment restraining order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something specific for the DOC? Because this is the first time I've ever heard that before.
No. So let me explain. I saw the HRO that David sent me the paperwork, and I filled it out and sent it back to Scott County. And I've been having court dates, but since I found me an attorney to deal with this the HRO matter, court dates have been getting pushed back because I need them to be pushed back for my attorney to look at all the evidence so he knows how to combat this and how to fight for me to get granted this HRO. So
yeah, and just, I don't mean to interrupt you, Angela, but just to wrap your head around it. So I'm sure you're familiar with like Danko's phone,
yeah.
And yeah, so an HRO it's in regular civilian life or whatever we want to call it, being on the outside too. It's like a step below that, so it's not saying it's a domestic situation, but it's a harassment situation. There's different things to prove.
Okay.
And really, it's just Angela saying she doesn't want to be in the presence. They just stay like a certain distance away. It's just like a regular. So it's like a Danko, but a different kind of category.
Right. Now, now it's enforceable. Something that limits your contact with that individual.
Exactly.
It actually starts establishing your case too. So
exactly.
What do you? Go ahead.
But now, I'm going for a full restraining order, and so you can look that up and see exactly what it is. I really don't want to say over the phone, but yeah, I'm going for a full restraining order now, and they know this. He knows this because he's getting served the same papers as I get served, or whatever.
Okay.
Vice versa. But I do have a good lawyer. He comes from Harriet Tubman.
What's Harriet Tubman?
Harriet Tubman Battered Women's Shelter.
Okay. All right. That's for individuals who don't know this org, because I'm unfamiliar with them also. So.
Yeah, and I was a resident at Harriet Tubman Shelter, and I've been asking David, and from the time that started, like and the advocates that specialize in sexual abuse, sexual harassment, of that type of nature to come and aid me in my court hearing, and everything I've done on my own, Mo. And so David, I have to have a conversation with him, because what I say to you, I can also let David know, David don't reach out to me. I reach out to David. I don't know what's going on, you know. So I just felt like I don't know what's going on. So I do still feel alone fighting this, as more alone than the beginning. I felt like I had a team of people that supported me, and I know you're very adamant of me seeking some type of justice because I didn't get it criminally, but you know, where did David go? Like, and every time I talk to David, it's I'm fighting and advocating for somebody else inside his facility, and then he gets the story, and then he tells the story, and he amps up his organization, whatever it is, you know. And I feel like sometimes it's being used out of context. So
explain yourself. First and foremost, like two different things. Explain yourself where you feel like it's being distorted or taken out of context, then also explain.
Like,
go ahead.
Okay. Say for instance, like Angela Hook said that he uses these stories to amplify his organization, and then gets people to, you know, I'm very grateful for him going to central office, bringing this to the news media, and it getting the look that it got. But this whole time, I've been asking this man, you know, I need an attorney. I'm giving him attorney numbers. I'm incarcerated, you know, so I just got left. I just like I fell off the face of the earth with David, and you know, and then he moves on to the next story and to the next story, and I don't know what's happening with the very first story that I told him, because so much happens not just to me, but so many other individuals in here. Like, and like, what's going on? Like, there's no change. I got. With my footwork, I found my attorney, you know, by reaching out to the Division of Indian Work, somebody that I use their resources, that I 100% trust, you know, and I know I'm in good hands. And I've got these people from central office coming out here to see me, like I could do, like, on some real shit. I could fight this battle by myself, like. Because I don't even really conversate with David no more. And then there's I feel this way about this individual, and I feel this way about this individual. Like, it's not about who you don't like in your circle. It's everybody trying to fight for these people that are incarcerated.
Right.
That these police are fondling, beating their asses. They come to go to SAG. They're coming out with black eyes. They're making these allegations that this and that happened to them. Like, and then nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. So I'm just over exhausted about speaking to David about the same things. And it seems like, oh, okay.
You have 1 minute remaining.
The question I had.
Call right back. I can call right back, Bill.
Okay, think about this. The question I had last night, and I don't think anybody can answer it, and I'm kind of confused because I was in a joint, is where did Priya leave off? Just think about it and then let me know, because that's what's confusing me, because I was told that Priya has all these safeguards within it and all this other stuff. So we need that explained, because a lot of people are believing that Priya is what you have to do in this circumstance, and I'm sure you're doing it, but I don't understand where the ball got dropped in Priya.
Yeah, that's a whole, and there's definitely a story to that. And I know Angela, are you going to call right back in and I can loop us all together?
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to call right back.
All right, do that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm back. That's me.
So you said, what's your question about Priya? And, you know, well, there's some things that I want to answer that I just can't right now.
So do me a favor. Just do me a favor. If I ask you a question you can't answer it, just tell me you can't answer it, and then that's cool. Because the problem I'm having, I'm in the same space you're in right now. Because when I was going through the joint, they were telling me about Priya and how Priya is
the safe all, right? You, Priya, third parties, this is going to happen. We take sexual abuse seriously and make you sit through that stupid ass tape to watch. And they ask you all.
It's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. Because if they did take it seriously, they would be moving these. They would be handling it at a different magnitude than what they're handling it. These officers wouldn't be here to keep on doing this to individuals. When you see red flags on officers talking to a certain way towards an inmate, they need to be retrained. Shouldn't nobody be disrespected by another official if you're being respectful to that person? So that's where it all begins. When you see fucked up behaviors, what else is behind all of that?
Right.
You got Priya. You got being able to be disrespected. You know, everything that's not supposed to happen can happen when you're dealing with a rogue officer. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that is not being addressed. Period. It's not being addressed because these cases wouldn't be coming in on a week to week basis. It wouldn't be happening. And if we call the Priya line, they don't guarantee 100% confidentiality. I learned this. They could take my words and flip it and then use it against me whenever I go to court. So I don't have a safe haven here. I don't have nobody to talk to. Even my mental health worker, you know, he don't guarantee me 100% confidentiality. So it's the union. It's their union.
Right.
It's their union that comes and saves these officers. DOC probably, all this stuff that's happening with these officers here, DOC probably would have fired them. But it's the union. This shit is the whole Department of Minnesota Corrections is getting ran like MPD.
Yeah. I believe you.
You got people being raped, sodomized, sexually molested, sexually harassed. You got people ODing in prison. Somebody just OD, I heard, at Stillwater. Like what the hell is going on?
Rush City. Lionel Lakes just did a story on it. The Lionel Lakes story, I'm not 100% sure about. But yeah, Stillwater, I see his sister, somebody on social media requesting funds, but the story's been swept underneath the rug because still nobody truly knows what happened. And it's the same way with your story. Nobody truly knows what's happening. Trying to get it out as much as I possibly can so people can react to it and understand what's going on. That's why your voice is very, very, very important. So go ahead, I'm willing to share my voice. We need the people in the community, Shakopee community, because this prison, Mail-Wakaton Sioux tribe that has that casino, this is their land. This is a private land. Like we're sitting on. At the end of the day, this is sitting on Indian land. No matter if it was bought, certain piece of it was bought or what, it's still sitting on Indian land. And people out there in the world, these are people's sons, mothers, daughters. These are all these people belong to somebody, and they think they can keep treating everybody in the Department of Corrections any type of way they want. And that they should have zero tolerance for that. What's going on with these wardens? Right, wardens, commissioners, AG, governor. Fuck that. I'm mentioning everybody and tapping into everybody because.
And Keith Ellison's ass. How the hell can you sit up here and honor this shit? You said you was gonna do something for the prison system. You ain't did nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
And I was told because I was shocked because last night they were like, the AG is representing the officer. I understand that's how it plays itself out. But when do you step up and get some motherfucking balls and tell them I'm not representing that? I'm not representing him. I'm not gonna side by it. I'm not gonna go find other legal representation because I'm not gonna be part of this.
Yeah, and I just want to throw, and I know it's about Angela's voice, but I want to say, Mo, like, that was the biggest point I said, like, IWOC could, you know, I'm like, you're writing letters to Ellis and all this stuff, like, we got to, you know, this is the point that needs to be made, like, there is a time in everybody's life where they have to decide, are they going to do the right thing or the wrong thing, and so, you know, David did respond the same way, like, well, his office is just supposed to take it. That's something, an area, if you're passionate about doing something about that, like, I would like to talk more, you know, about that as well.
That's the only conversation I have. This man's running for re-election.
Exactly.
I'm in his space. Like, dude,
and Angela knows, like, how I feel, you know, that it's just, it's crazy. And I brought it to them because I know that they're a platform and it was just kind of, like, dismissed. But in my opinion, that's a big deal in all this, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I'm 100.
But anyway.
Yeah. That's what got me.
I'm not trying to interrupt Angela, but yeah.
No, that got me.
People are ignoring that piece, and I don't think it should be ignored.
Not at all. He doesn't get a pass. No.
Well, and especially because of his platform that he talked about, you know, it's just like, I really want to hear what he has to say about it. I mean, you know, David will say, oh, well, that's just how they get assigned. But like you said, there's a time when you say, no, I'm not going to do this.
Oh, this shit is, at the end of the day, this shit is getting ran like MPD police department, fucked up union.
Right.
And this shit went on for 50, 60 years when they drug that black boy down Hennepin, you know, and they thought it was going to change. And then George Floyd, it took for George Floyd to die for the Minneapolis Police Department to be held accountable. That's exactly what's going on with these prisons. The exact same thing. Yeah, you got these, there's some good white people and there's some bad white people and there's bad black people and there's good black people and there's good natives, there's bad natives. You know what I'm saying?
But, yeah.
So you got these people that have them behaviors and somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody already did get hurt. My friend Lunchbox, her baby dad is the one that killed that officer at Stillwater. That officer let them other boys in there to whoop him, and that's why he lost his eye. Now he had 3-4 years to get out. Somewhere down the line, you guys failed this man. You failed him.
Well,
and now he's got to serve a life sentence because he said, "Oh, I ain't got no help, so let me take this matter into my own hands."
You know that.
Yeah, I do wanna say, Angela, just be careful with just things. Just not. We don't want anything to sound like there's a threat from coming from you.
There's there's not.
And I know it's not like that. I just want to make sure that we keep the conversation.
We'll clarify that. I understand exactly.
The truth is, I understand exactly. I'll clarify it right now. These people keep running to these OSI people, the PREA people, the other officers, the warden, the commissioner, and ain't nothing getting done about it. There's people inside all these DOC correction facilities that get tired of being treated like that. It happens in society. You get tired of getting treated like that. And so let me set an example. That's what I'm saying. And when that shit happens, then, the person that did the crime is all thrown underneath the carpet and dogged his name or her name dogged. What happened for it to lead to that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna help her out on this. Everything she said is correct, 110%. I'm in conversations with the family right now. Knew Mau in prison prior to this situation. Understood the implications of it. To me, what you just said is that instead of them being proactive, and this is me talking as a prisoner, and this is my own opinion about sitting in the system, instead of them listening to the conversation and trying to do something about it, they in turn equip themselves to take down that situation.
For
what
sure.
I mean, as you bring that and you want them to be proactive. Go ahead.
You know what these people, because I only got 15 minutes, I got $7 a phone.
Yeah.
But you know what these people are worried about here? Who got a fucking extra blanket? Who ain't supposed to have a fucking pillowcase and a butterfly program and don't be. Make sure you sit down in the day room. That's what they
petty ass
worry
shit.
about something else.
Petty ass shit. Some petty ass shit. Real shit going around you, and you want to put me on restriction for some old dumbass shit. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, you don't want to pay attention to the real shit that's going on, but you want to pay attention to if you got 3 individuals standing in the day room, or who got the goddamn blanket, or who ain't got a pillow restriction, or
Yeah, I'm laughing because you on point.
A girl plucked her fucking eyeball plucked her eyeball out of the socket up in segregation. What's going on with that?
True.
Medical tells her it's an allergy. Her name is Megan Lane. What's going on with that?
Right. Real shit. I mean,
and then your medical tells her it's mental health. It don't say it's mental health, but you prescribe her some allergy medicine. It says it's an allergy.
Yeah, it's bad.
And you got multiple people saying you need to send her over to medical, but you worrying about who you can write a goddamn sanction to.
Can you imagine how bad that infection had to be for her to pluck her own eyeball? I mean, that's the thing too. I work with, the medical care is huge. And I just wanted to clarify, Mo, for you. I'm not worried about your recording. It's kind of funny because they've been we know they're listening to all Angela's calls and everything. So because they straight up will tell her things that things they should have done. So
already talked about.
It's kind of a joke, actually, but that's why I just want to that's why I say careful.
Yeah.
And there's a truth. I understand speaking the truth, but that's where that comes from. It's kind of actually ridiculous.
Yeah, I set the platforms up, and everybody knows who calls the platform. They could say, I want them to, because this is your opportunity. So whatever. I'm not trying to tell you to say more, less. Say what you feel. Say what's on your heart. Yeah, be cognizant of what the things that's working around you. But here's your opportunity to say, because they're going to always call you on it later on down the line. With that being said, to the DOC that's recording this telephone call, this is SAF Mo. If you have a problem, you can watch the videos. And
exactly.
And
that's why Angela and I always talk about, I'm never trying to silence her. I want to make that clear. And we talk about everything. I just never want her to be retaliated or anybody again.
That's scary.
That's more where it comes from.
That's scary. That's the scary part of it.
I just talked to the website. I talked to the website today, and
you have 1 minute remaining.
That's not harassment, but when you keep having multiple different officers nitpick with you, that's fucking harassment, and I ain't never endured that the whole 8 years. Now all of a sudden you're nitpicking with me.
Before you get off, won't you tell everybody what you want? Tell them what you want. Tell them what you need.
I want Shakopee shut down. I want all these officers retrained. I want a black commissioner. I want a black warden here. I want more people of color, not these Liberians that they think are black Americans.
Right.
I want real prison officials here that come from the mud, and this needs to stop. These people need to be held accountable, just like everybody else was held accountable for a sanction in this unit while they're worrying about a pillow restriction and a blanket and who's standing in the day room. These problems go beyond what's going on right now.
You hear that, Paul Snell?
I thank you for all your love and your support, and
thank you for using GTL.
All right. Thank you for that call, Anna. I'll talk to you.
All right, let's talk Angela Jackson case, and let's just come up to speed. So now we discussed initially what PREA was for those individuals who never saw a PREA video or just heard the words or maybe understood the acronym but never truly had seen the video. Just wanted to show a brief portion of the video so people understood the definition of words, and also trying to put them in a frame of mind of why this situation, or why individuals like myself feel such indignation when it comes to the fact of hearing someone who has reported sexual assault, sexual abuse, and not having that claim be fully investigated, and then have all the information associated with the claim be using track of who the victim is. I think this is the biggest problem with this, right? So based on what we know about Angela Jackson's case, we know that she's not being considered the victim, but the officer in his job and his respectability in the community is being considered first and foremost, making it difficult to view video, to get documentation on this individual, to actually out this individual. Why isn't he a sexual predator? Why isn't he having to register based on this? It's not happening. We know that a lot of reasons why they're trying to scrub this is the same way they scrub a lot of their records, because it interferes with them in their promotions. So it behooves them to fight tooth and nail to keep this stuff out, even though it's going on, because at the end of the day, they want to make more money. They want to move further up in the system, but they want to continue their sadistic behavior. But let's just talk about some facts as we move through this, because we've already heard in her own words Angela Jackson speak and tell us what's going on in the institution. But let's make that a little bit more visible, a little bit more concrete, right? So we know that our current criminal justice system is set up to maintain the victim predator scenario. Perpetrator. I say predator, perpetrator. Who's the victim and who's the perpetrator in these scenarios? Who's deciding that? That's the problem, and that's the question. And that's exactly so like even in the DOC situation with them coming in to investigate, OSI comes in and investigate. OSI is the DOC version of the FBI, right? They're this extra security system that they have, but OSI usually are involved in situations that involve inmates' behavior, right? OSI comes in if you're going to be charged on the street. OSI is coming in as that investigative unit, but they're investigating for the DOC. So how does it make sense that OSI now is OSI, that PREA is inside OSI, or OSI, the individual who was part of PREA, we once worked for OSI? It makes no sense, right? It seems like it's a conflict of interest. Yet and still, the DOC was evaluated. Shakopee in general was evaluated based on PREA, the requirements they needed to have, and they were found to be in flying colors. But wouldn't you think that would be the first red flag, that your OSI person who's going into your appointed position of PREA comes from OSI? Well, they find no problems with it. So let's keep on going. So we understand that they utilize this binary understanding. This binary understanding allows individual to be the white supremacist and the property to be the property, same as slavery. There was the same utilization of this methodology in slavery to allow slavery to exist. They use it in their penal colonies, their carceral colonies. And so now we can go at women in these punitive custodies are 5 times more likely to have mental health issues more than individuals in general population. 70% of women in prison are survivors of domestic abuse. So we got women who are dealing with mental illness, and we got women who are survivors of sexual abuse, being put in prison and experiencing those exact same things for crime, which makes no sense. But that makes sense, and it makes a whole lot of sense in our criminal justice system. Now let's go further with these numbers. I'm not a big stats guy. I like to deal with anecdotal information opposed to statistical, but let's make sense. We know that people who have committed supposedly a crime are often they're going to suffer from mental health, they're going to suffer from substance abuse, they're going to suffer from poverty, they're going to suffer from domestic violence, and it explains that the condition they're in prior to coming to prison. And women who come to prison, a lot of them are suffering from finding homes, and if they didn't have that problem when they came in, they're going to have that problem when they get out. Right now, they have a felony, so they're making it even more difficult. So now you got from suffering from abuse, domestic abuse, mental illness, substance abuse, all those things culminated on the fact that now housing becomes a situation for you, employment becomes a situation for you, the felony becomes a situation for you. And a lot of times the women are in prison because they stole things because they needed things, right? They shoplifted, they wrote bad checks because economic issues were a problem for them. And that's just facts, cold hard facts. All right, so that's just setting us up to go further with asking ourselves a question, or not even making a statement. I guess the question is not what we're going to be doing. We're going to ask us. I guess it's going to be a statement that's going to be made, because the question is not necessary in this particular point. It's analysis of an understanding of that the United States cannot end prisoner sexual victimization. Okay? They cannot end sexual victimization. It's obvious. So no matter what administrative provisions they implement, federal, state, local, they don't have the mechanisms to go into a system that's been based on slavery and based on victimizing individuals and has a good, bad understanding, logic to it, administrate individuals who are coming in as white supremacists, racism, classism individuals, because all that stuff is part of it, and to try to explain to them that you can't have sex with these animals, right? Because that's what they were doing during slavery, okay? Even though they called the slave property and said slaves were animals, majority of these white males were having sex with property, animals. So let's keep this going. So because the United States can't assure there won't be any victimization, they're actually doing more harm than good by placing placing individuals into prison and having them suffer victimization for nonviolent crimes. They place individuals at risk because they won't consider a non-punitive alternative to prison. And I think that's what we want to talk about, because faced with the same situation, the U.S. and having the same statistical data when it comes to prison, 5-6% when it comes to women being in prison, an increase in incarceration of the women population in prison, and then being able to step back and say prison isn't the solution. Abolition is the solution to the problem. In the United States making a totally different conversation, a solution. They came to a whole different solution to the problem. And UK said abolition was the problem. But let's just figure out why the solutions look so different. Why is the U.S. so unwilling to abandon punishment despite the mass abuse it has unleashed on women? So what they're saying is what we're trying to say is that if you're taking individuals who committed nonviolent crimes, who have a history, have a historical trauma, and place them in environments that exacerbate those traumas, those mental illnesses, for the sake of punishment, so individuals can have jobs, costing the state innumerable amounts of money, and costing the society, ripping the fabrics of society. You must have some reasoning behind it, other than money, and it must be something about incarcerating these people. This institution has to be a life-changing event to have people not come back, or make them better, or make them whole, or it doesn't do any of those things, right? So So we understand the United States is not willing to abandon punishment. All right? But what they've come up with to secure that. So we're not going to get rid of punishment. We're not even going to talk about it. What we're going to do is in 2003, under George Bush, they came up with the Prison Rape Reduction or Elimination. It was initially named Reduction Act. And it was, reduction is not even true to the title because it doesn't reduce anything. It doesn't eliminate anything. All it does, that we know now, is just a way for a person to report, hopefully, what happened to them. Because if the report is being taken and being taken seriously, it's a whole nother conversation. But it's a way for, I guess it's something that's being used as for statistics. Because it doesn't have any teeth. It's not effective. It does more trauma than good. And we can see in Angela Jackson's case that there's really not a lot of people who even care what's going on at the end of the day of the sexual abuse. You know, they claim they care, but at the end of the day, when it's obviously an issue or something that occurred, there's very few people up in arms with what's going on. And I think my indignation or my problem with the whole scenario is, and why I find myself in this conversation, even though I've never suffered any sexual abuse in prison, but it would still, like most individuals you speak with, they felt comfort hearing that Priya was there, that they could make that telephone call. And I don't know if that was the reason for it. So now people feel more comfortable in it, and it's like that fake camera that you think's recording you, so you're not going to steal until you realize it's not working. But and that's what's going on with Priya right now, with her going through her scenario and saying there's nothing there at all. There's nobody. There's no advocacy. There's no confidentiality. There's no teeth. There's nobody who even cares. Because you got to look at it. You have the governor who doesn't care, who's receiving money for this. You have of course, the commissioner who doesn't care. He's just trying to keep everything underneath the rug because his relationship with the union they're more concerned with these individuals keeping their jobs and not selling up their reputation, because of course with that, again, you have the good guy and the bad guy situation. They want to continue the person locked up to be bad and continue the person who's guarding them to be good. And they're not willing to take, and that's always been the problem with these types of this even reporting things, is because you don't believe that you're going to be believed, and it's true you're not going to be believed. So the sexual victimizations of prisoners in prison, and I say persons, not specifically females or males, it's persons, is inherent to the current U.S. penal system. A U.S. Department of Justice investigation released in 2013 confirmed reports of sexual abuse at Julia Tutwiler's prison. That's his prison in Alabama. The abuse, it mirrors other female facilities. So they're saying, so it was egregious at Tutwiler. It was the fact that not only did the federal government had to come in, a nonprofit had to come in, and they did all this investigation to find out that sexual abuse at Tutwiler's occurred despite structural protections. So despite all this Priya stuff, we still had sexual abuse. We still had sexual abuse. And that is not saying much. They knew that they were going to still have sexual abuse. They knew that they were going to that this administrative safeguard was not going to work, did not work, never is going to work. They knew all these things. How do you say that they knew? Because we know that that based on these administrative procedures that really individuals don't have to follow, there's nothing going to be done, and they really don't have any accountability to it. That's what we're talking about right now. There's no accountability, there's no responsibility for the individuals to be around them to report what's going on. In fact, it's better off if you don't report. If you do report, and that's the same way the victims feel when it comes to these situations. They feel like it's better for them not to report those situations, and on top of that, you get, and the way they come out, you get a couple of extra privileges, you get a couple of extra treats, you get, and I mean, I've seen situations where they have let individuals go. These people are sadistic. They don't believe in anything, good or bad. And they're sociopaths. That's why they take on these jobs. So the problems of Tutwiler, that Alabama prison, portrays the institution abuse of daily life and inside a women's prison. Security cameras did not work. These are some of the things that they noted. Toilet lacked privacy. Grievance procedures were absent. Women did not feel physically or sexually safe. So, So I was locked up during a time when they call themselves putting PREA on 2.0, right? They come in, they're going to put up shower curtains, because we didn't have shower curtains prior to that. In fact, when I first went to Stillwater, it was their common thing to have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people around, like 2 or 3 spigots to take a shower. Individuals you did not know. Individuals. That's how sadistic these people are. Like, they really like you have thousands of people in this block taking all these showers. You have to get in and take a shower because they got 2 men in the cell. It's hot as hell in these cells. You have to take a shower. So you're forced to take a shower. You're forced to strip down and be nude in front of the individuals who you did not know at what their situation were, or what they were in for, what they were thinking, and what was going through their minds, or what their ability was to. Like I said, you got individuals coming in 100 pounds, and people coming in 18, 19 years old. You don't know if they're dealing with a sexual predator, but it really doesn't matter, right? Because they really don't care. Plus, you had other females in that block who were guarding you and sitting right above the shower stall, watching you while you took a shower, right? So, how does that even make sense? It doesn't. Exactly why they did it. So, despite the known high rate of sexual contact between male staff and incarcerated women, this is at Tutwiler prison. The warden and correctional officers at Tutwiler continue to punish and humiliate women who reported sexual misconduct, routinely placing them in segregation, stripping them of the property, denying them contact with their families, and forcing them to submit to unwarranted medical procedures. It sounds more and more like a concentration camp. It does, you know what I'm saying? It just sounds like more and more like these sadistic ass guards getting the run of the roost, right? Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Who cares about them? And like I said, they want you to come out of prison and be labeled as a predator, when these individuals are predators, when these individuals are sadistic sociopaths. And you allow the system to fuel that behavior. And all these people are governors, AGs. They understand what's going on. They benefit from what's going on, because that's how they get people to do things they don't want to do by sending them to prison. We're going to send you to prison, right? You don't cooperate with us, we're going to send you to prison. Nobody wants to go to prison because they understand how bad prison is, and it's purposely bad, and it's not bad for the right people, right? Let's talk about PREA a little bit further. PREA fails to depart from past attempted solutions and does not contain any significant new initiatives to end sexual victimizations of incarcerated women in the United States. In fact, the administrative rule implementing PREA candidly acknowledged it may have no measurable effects whatsoever. And this was exactly what Angela Jackson is saying. She hasn't read this. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know all this stuff, but she's saying it. And that's what makes her conversation true. You know, that this is information that everybody knows PREA is not effective. And now she's going through the system saying there's nobody here to help me. But there's nobody here to help her. Because it's not supposed to be anybody. In fact, you're not even supposed to make it as far as she's made it by pointing out the system is not working. The rules go so far as to assign responsibility for reform to the very person and bureaucracy supposedly being regulated. So I told you before, I'll tell you again, the person who's in charge of PREA for the Minnesota DOC is a person who they plucked out of OSI, and OSI is the MNDOC. Most DOCs, that's when you talk about OSI, that's their version of the FBI. They do investigations. So if you have a crime that occurred where you had a cell phone in, OSI come in. If you had a crime where you're sold a CO, OSI comes in because they're going to try to charge you on the street with that. The reason OSI comes in on the cell phone because they want to know how it came in, right? That's sort of OSI, their situation. So you plug someone from OSI who only knows bad, good, and they're the good guys, and now you put them in control of investigating a bad person who has alleged that a good person's done something bad to him. Now, that makes sense to me. It's going to work out really good. So that's the situation with OSI. The success of PREA standards in combating sexual abuse and confinement facilities would depend on the effectiveness of agencies and facility leaderships, which cannot, of course, be directly mandated by rule. So again, you're giving the fox the keys to the hen house, and you expect him to not do what he's naturally supposed to do. So the individuals that the individual is supposed to report against, and it's supposed to be the third party entity, they're making these reports and investigating these individuals are going to be able to investigate their own. I mean, great. I mean, shit, let me be the judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney on my own case, and I'm sure I'll be able to figure out that I'm not guilty. Right? Works for them, but it doesn't work for us. PREA is not only unlikely to abate sexual abuse in females' prisons, but could also compound the problem by simultaneously expanding the penal system while teeing up hopes for relief in a bureaucracy unable to effectively respond to the problems. Prisons and jails expansions, in fact, commonly followed by prison scandal in the guise of penal reform. So that's what PREA is. It's a scandal. It's a con game. It's them employing people, giving them positions, federal government giving out monies, and you got all these fiscal conservative Republicans talking all this BS. But when it comes to programs like this, they're 100% behind, but it doesn't do anything. It just gives individuals jobs and pay them a whole lot of money to do nothing but further incarcerating people and make people's lives worse. But I guess that's what they want at the end of the day, right? It doesn't do anything to help a person actually report a crime or actually hold a person accountable. So they got internal policies and all different things like that they're utilizing to prevent abuse prevention. They go through training and education discipline. And these are what the guards you see this whole list of things that they're supposed to go through. So how the DOC held accountable? It's held accountable because the governor wants this money, and they do this audit, and the DOC is supposed to be up to par with compliances with the federal government when it comes to PREA. That's how it goes, right? So how does it go? The check down is the governor is slated with money. You can have this money. Your facilities needs to be up to par with compliances. Audit them, and then you get these monies. Okay, if you want to participate in this program, which is PREA, that's how it breaks itself down. We know that this audit that happens, because I have the audit. It's not a genuine audit, right? It's not even with the audit, even if they come in and say this is not happening, based on the audit, that the governor could sign a promissory note saying he's going to fix it. Some people really don't care about the money. I mean, who cares? I mean, DOC is going to continue to run. It's just extra money, I guess. It's a pass through. You know what I'm saying? You can get it and do whatever you want to do with it because it's a grant. It's grant money, so they probably don't care. But we're talking about the ineffectiveness of PREA. PREA would be likely ineffective even if it did contain provisions that could systematically address sexual abuse or mass incarceration. PREA's implementation scheme is both weak and limited. First, compliances with the legislations is not mandatory. And even though 90% of female prisons are incarcerated in states and local facilities that do not comply with the act risk the loss of only 5% of their federal funding. So that's what I was talking about. Where they're like, who gives a fuck? Who really cares about this PREA? But they do it for the money. And it's not hard when you have the mechanisms like, all you have to do is go get an audit, and the audit can give you corrective measures, and you can sign a promissory note. So even you don't really have to do anything. You're going to still get this money regardless. You just got to act like you're doing something. And if you're an idiot, if you're not acting like you're doing something. So what's the solution? The solution is easy. The solution is not hard. But the solution becomes hard when punishment is the only thing you know. Punishment is the only thing you can come up with because the jobs that punishment generates, and you're trying to provide these out of work, uneducated white people with jobs, because that's what criminal justice does at the end of the day. Take people who can't make it anywhere else, but they can tell people what to do, and they, by luck or by white privilege, they have no criminal conviction that can be found. They get hired and they do these jobs, which really requires no brain power whatsoever. So it becomes difficult when that's part of your society. Your society is based on a slave society, and that's what you want to continue. You want to continue racism, capitalism, sexism, ism, because it makes sense. And it's this structure that you're trying to make, and it's not something that's going to be permanent, right? Because it can't continue to incarcerate individuals, but it's keeping the classifications of individuals further enough so they can do whatever they intend on doing. So faced with the same problem, I told you before, UK and the United States had similar problems when it came to women. Increased uptick in women coming to prison, and it wasn't an uptick in crime. They legislated more people going to prison, right? They made drug offenses more severe, so people were doing time now, opposed to doing treatments. They in turn then, on top of that, you have that, and then you have both UK and the United States having UK having 5% of females in the prison population, the United States having 6%. So relatively close in the amount of individuals from women incarcerated relatively close in the uptick in prisons trying to figure out what the solution is to eliminate. So the whole thing, they're going into looking at sexual violence and sexual abuse, how to eliminate it, because it's showing that it's in women's prisons almost impossible to administratively remove it. So what's the best way to do it? Abolish prisons, not come up with this bullshit administrative PREA garbage. But let's do something let's do something that's really meaningful, and let's do something that's really progressive. Let's talk about eliminating prisons, because we know that it makes sense that there's no way for us to administratively remove it, and it makes no sense to incarcerate individuals who are low-level offenders. And I use the word, I don't like the word offenders, but low-level individuals who commit nonviolent crimes, but yet still you want to commit them to prison and have them further abused when they're coming from a situation of harm, when it makes sense to put them in a community-based program, keep them within the community, because their mothers, they have an instrumental role in the livelihood of the community. And why not do it? Why not? It makes sense. Why not like my guy, Derek Jordan said, free Derek Jordan. Shout out to Derek Jordan. Shout out to Marvin Haynes. Shout out to Richie Rich. Shout out to Jamil Easton. Shout out to Terrence Richardson. He just called me. Like my man Derek, I had to go off on that. Like my man Derek Jordan said, once they come to county jail, once you recognize it's an issue, once you recognize that this female is writing bad checks, once you recognize this woman is stealing, once you not recognize this woman has mental illness in your county jails, why not at this particular time do you not utilize social service to help her? It's more profitable to send her to prison, like the men, because they care of men, women, they have no problems with it, especially when the women are minorities, for the most part. They have no problems with sending them to prison forever. So with that being said, let's go further with the conversation. The alternatives to prison, as we look at it, is something that, based on understanding a carceral state and imprisonment, alternatives can't really be discussed, because if you start talking alternatives, you start talking about shutting down prisons, then those individuals who make their livelihood on incarcerating individuals and find their persons or their personage through that are going to be devastated. So that's just that. So make sure you check us out, subscribe, like, watch, support Angela Jackson, and if anything out of her case, what we're getting is a clear understanding of what PREA does and does not do. And I guess at the end of the day, her case can revitalize the conversation of abolishing prisons, right? Her conversation can definitely, her situation can definitely help us with deciding, or a more intellectual way to deal with incarceration, and that's very important, because if we can start it with the women's prisons and have people actually start a conversation about abolishing prisons and finding alternative routes that don't deal with punitive measures, then it might be a situation where we can further that conversation on to men prisons, to juvenile situations, and start reducing the prison population based on some common sense, opposed to I don't even know what to call this shit that's going on. But this is SF Moore, your prison lawyer. SAF Mo, your prison lawyer. I told you I'm gonna give it to you raw. I ain't gonna give it to you at all. Don't sing, don't dance, crack jokes. Ain't got nothing for you but the raw, unmitigated facts. And I want to appreciate all the support. Continue to support us. Continue to like, subscribe, watch.
Our distinguished minds to receive our distinguished guest. He is more than a scholar, he's more than a lecturer, he's more than an activist. He is a legend, a living legend amongst our people. He is one of the elders of the African community. He has given his life to study as well as teaching our people about their great past and the prospects for an even greater future. He is a man whose presentation of history is penetrating and powerful, and he has a way of bringing history alive. And I think that those of you that have heard him before, and those of you that are going to hear him tonight, know that there's no one that is quite able to put history or describe it in quite the way that our lecturer tonight does. It is with great pride